What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 112. Dylan, what's going on, dude?
Oh man, literally just got in from turkey hunting, so
Well, that's not a
still
bad
chasing them.
problem to have.
No, I should be done by now, but it's how it plays out sometimes.
Hey, at least you're still hunting, you know what I mean? At least you still get to chase them in some shape, way, or form.
That is true. Yeah, this one was gobbling like crazy last night, and then I was like, I'll get him tomorrow, and then I couldn't get in there this morning, so I just snuck in there this afternoon. And two hens came straight through, but I don't know where he was. He must have found some other hens and went with them. But I think it's gotten so green. I mean, I'm really having to hit those strut zones or hit the fields.
Yeah. Well, for our audience, we apologize for taking off last week. We've been editing videos and ball games and all that kind of stuff. You know, life kind of got in the way for us last week, and the best thing about us not have been on here for a couple weeks is, Dylan, we got dead birds to talk about.
A few, yeah, a few, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped up, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But our guest tonight, Kyle Campbell, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me on. What's up, guys?
That's good to have you on, man. I'd have to look. I should have looked in my preparation for this, but I don't even remember what episode it was that I had you on. It's been a hot minute, few years probably.
I was actually thinking that this morning whenever you texted me and you're like, still on? I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, when's the last time? I was like, was that like episode like 6 or something?
It had to have been something like that. And we did 2 of them, I think, like pretty close together.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna look it up on my phone if I can get there fast enough without taking too much time up. But for somebody that doesn't know you, Kyle, introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Kyle Campbell. I live in Missouri, Central Missouri right now. I think I actually met Brett on, where did we meet at? Was that Twitter officially?
I believe it was Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, officially met on Twitter. I used to work for Jason Say, which he was on here a couple weeks ago. I used to work for him when it was called Wired Outdoors, and I was his full-time photographer and videographer. I have since moved on from that. I'm on my own now, kind of doing my own thing, but not because anything like went down with Jason or anything. It's just we lived in Pennsylvania, and then we had a baby and everything, and we wanted to come back to family and stuff. So we just moved back, and since then I kind of started my own thing, and here we are trying to kick things off on the YouTube channel and all that. But
it was episode 4 of this podcast.
4. I was so close.
that's deep in the weeds. Now it was, this episode.
Now you're at what? 112.
Yep.
That's wild.
Definitely came a long way this spring that we've had, the lineup that we've had on here with Dave Owens and Shane Simpson and all these great guys that come off. And really, your former boss Jason was the one that kicked it off with episode 100. Man, he blew it so far out of the water. We were like, okay, we need this kind of level now, because like you just don't want to go back to those conversations that you had before, because he just put it on a whole new level to try to reach.
Oh yeah, that dude and that dude can talk to a post. So
yeah, he's a great storyteller, and talking to those guys who are living it and have been doing it for so long, they've seen it change so much, but they're still consistently doing it. There's just something to say about that. And anytime I have a question, man, I'll shoot him a text, and he's always been one to just answer. He's like, hey, give me a call, whatever it may be. I can't say anything bad about him. He's always been great to me, and I'm excited for everything he's got coming out. I really like the way that he's doing the longer format, YouTube videos, and kind of like making it more of a movie almost. So I'm really into that. It holds my attention.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of what they're doing now instead of the short form videos.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on like that documentary type of style that he has kind of fell into, that does an amazing job at it? But from you used to be his, cameraman and editing and all that stuff. I mean, what's your thoughts on that whole kind of style?
I love it. I wish I was good enough to film and put out that kind of content, but that's just a little above my level. I like, of course, me being by myself and all that. I like the kind of short form, kind of exactly what he was doing, and he kind of helped me fine tune what I liked. But I love every September when those come out, I'm tuning in to watch it, and I maybe he gives me a little premature video of it, so I get to watch it before everybody else too. Preview though, so I get a little cheat that way. But no, Jason's awesome, and I'm still working with him, and he lets me. He does some of his videos. I still do edit for him, and down in Kentucky, I work with him for that whole thing that we do down in there. So
yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, Jason's a great guy.
Strutting in the bluegrass. How did that whole thing kick off? Because it's like a group of people, right? And you have so many days to edit and put it all out as the season comes out for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. So Jason, that was Jason's idea. He works with the Department of Kentucky Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. And what it is it used to be when it first came out, it was the first 7 days of Kentucky's turkey season. We filmed a show in the morning, edited it, and had it out at 7:00 that night every day for 7 days in a row. And it was when we were working with Jason and John Collins and the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, and we did that. I think I was there for 2 years for that. And then I moved away, and he still did it. And since then, they moved down to 5. But then last year, he contacted me and said, "Hey, the way we're doing it works fine, but we kind of really need you, but would like to have you back, and you're going to go film with some other guys and then do the same thing." He's like, "I want you to film it and edit it and produce it and everything." So that's what I do now. The last 2 years I've been down there. Now it's the first 5 days of the Kentucky turkey season. Saturday through Wednesday, 5 days in a row. We film a show every morning, edit it throughout the day, and then get it out by 7 p.m. that night.
That's crazy. And it drops on, does it drop like on their YouTube or like on their Facebook? How's that work?
Yeah, it goes to their YouTube page and their Facebook page, the whole entire video. So,
man,
but it's and they do a Facebook Live, and it's a whole like production every day that we kind of do. And wake up at 4, and then I'm usually done by about 6 and 6:30, and finally get it uploaded by 7.
Yeah, that's a time crunch right there. But it's super cool that you guys are able to partner with their fish and wildlife like that, and to bring somebody like Jason in on something like that. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. I don't know how he came up with that idea, but it's awesome, and it's been working well. And man, it's a lot of work, but it's so much fun. And the people that I've met doing that, Merle, I don't know if you've watched them.
I haven't got to watch it. I really didn't pay attention to it until you said something. I went back and was kind of checking it out. I've watched in years past. I've watched it before though.
Yeah, Merle, he's awesome, and just the host that we have and the camaraderie we have with all the guys down there. It's a really good time. And yes, it's a lot of work, but man, the relationships I've built they're lifelong relationships. So it's an awesome thing.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you guys should have a video guy videoing the video guys to watch that grind, like the behind the scenes, because I'm sure a ton of editors and YouTubers and stuff would eat that content up, almost like, you're live streaming like the grind you have to see who can meet the crunch time. That would be something I'd definitely watch too.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've never really thought of that, but I mean, coming from my point of view, it'd be kind of boring because it's none of the you don't have time to do all the fancy editing and the excuse me, the fancy editing and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, it is a grind, but I mean, there's a lot more better editors out there than I
am. Talk about starting at your KLC Media. What made you jump into that, and just kind of lay it all out on the line?
So the way I came up with that is after I left, John Collins contacted me, and he asked if I would be interested in editing videos for Fox Pro. And so I said, yeah. And then I needed a way to kind of incorporate that. And I wanted to be a cameraman and kind of freelance and everything. So kind of wanted to talk to my wife. I was like, I need to get like an LLC or something like that. And I was just coming up and I'm like, why don't I just use my initials, KLC Media? And so then I just put everything I do under that now, and editing videos for Jason goes all under that. The whole contracting for Kentucky, everything goes under that too. So that's kind of how all that kind of started, was pretty much for John when he asked if I'd be interested in editing their videos for them, which I don't do anymore. They kind of went to a longer format video too. I don't know if you've seen that, the Fox Pro Fur Takers.
Yeah, I've seen
They
some of that.
started that. Yeah, so
how hard, and this is more of a personal question for myself, how hard is it to kind of manage that LLC stuff?
oh, it's not really that hard at all. Like, I just went to the accounting office really and said I want an LLC. Here's the thing, and they're like, okay, $70, and they filed everything for me. And I tried to do it on. I think you can do it on like LegalZoom or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, and I looked into that, but that's really for anybody starting an LLC. Don't do that because it's like I think they wanted like $500 some for to do it, and they just
Dang.
did it for like $70. And I got my EIN number, like your tax number and
Right.
everything, and now now I just work off that and everything. I can write everything off I buy for honey and everything.
Well, I was kind of interested in it because I've wanted to kind of look into that for a while, especially because I work all these shows, and it'd be cool to maybe like sell some merch, or maybe even, I know you can even use that number like you were talking about and set up some of your merch through other people, Amazon, etc., that kind of thing. And that's always something I've kind of been interested in, but sometimes I don't want to mess with the headache of it, with messing with it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not too bad. You just really kind of got to keep track of what's coming in and what's going out. Really, that's the hardest part.
Like dedication and drive. I mean, I would think when I think of somebody that it's behind a camera and editing and stuff, you're like the first person that pops into my mind. Where does that drive and dedication for that stuff come from?
And I don't know. Like a lot of people say that to me. I feel like I don't have as much, but then people are like, "Man, I can't believe you're packing all that to the tree." I'm like, "Oh, it's fun."
Right.
It's challenging. I don't know if you watched that deer hunt I did last year, but that self film I didn't get the shot on film, but
Sounds
everything
like
else.
me.
But yeah, that's the hardest part, especially when you're self filming with a DSLR and you gotta like
Right.
all that. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. I've always me and a couple buddies back in high school, we bought a camera and we would just like put them on the little tapes and stuff and
Mhm.
share it. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool." And so it's more of just like I just want to share that like turkeys gobbling and coming in strutting. Like not a lot of people see that. And I mean, obviously people that hunt do, but like not
Right.
everyone understands that a turkey like gobble and rattling your chest when he's coming in, and he sounds like a freaking pterodactyl coming through the woods. And it just I don't know, it just makes me wanna share it, and so ever since I started sharing it, I just couldn't stop.
I love self-filming whitetails. I hate self-filming turkeys. I would rather
Mm,
just be a cameraman or a hunter, or like going with somebody and calling and filming for them and stuff like that.
yeah.
It's a totally different ball game from whitetails to deer, or from whitetails to turkey.
Yeah, it definitely is. I can't do it either. If you've noticed, I don't put out a whole lot of turkey content, but I put out a lot of deer content. So I've
Yeah.
been trying all spring to get out turkey content, but then it's finally like just like the last turkey I killed a couple it was a week ago I killed one and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna take the camera today. And lo and behold,
It always
everything
happens
worked
like that.
perfectly. Yeah.
uh Talk about your Missouri season. How many birds you killed, and kind of tell the stories of each of the birds.
Okay. Yeah. So our season opened the 21st, April 21st, and I had off those first 3 days. Yeah, first 3 days I had off, and I got one. I hunted with a buddy on public ground the first 2 days, and then Missouri actually last year just started all day hunting on private ground. On public ground, you have to quit at 1, but
Right.
on private ground, you can hunt all day, and that started last year was the first year full of that. And so, Tuesday, the 22nd, me and a buddy hunted, public ground until I think we quit a little early. It was like 11:30 or so because they weren't gobbling, they weren't doing anything, and so I was like, "You know what? Let's just go to my private ground." I know there was a bird back there because I actually went back there that evening before and struck him, but he kinda went off the other way to roost, and so it was like 2:30. I didn't even hunt, afternoons last year, so kind of new to the afternoon hunting because, like I said, previously you had to hunt till quit at 1. So it was like 2:30, I think, and we got back to my cabin. And I'm like, let's just walk back here. It's a little 10 acre spot, and I was like, let's just walk back here. And I know this turkey's back here somewhere, and I was like, if he's back here, we'll have him dead in 30 minutes. And we killed him in 30 minutes. So we walked back there and we struck him. And I'm pretty sure there's a lady's backyard, and I'm pretty sure he was strutting in her backyard because that's where it sounded like. I was like, I think that's in Miss, I won't say her name, but Miss, the lady's backyard. And then we called him all the way through the woods. He had to cross a big creek and came up, and he actually came in behind us. Like, he was literally like me and my buddy Lance were like facing this one way, and the turkey came in behind us, and I could like see over my shoulder. I'm like, do not move. He's like, where is he? And I'm like, he's 5 yards behind us. And he came behind us and went all the way around to my right. And I had to like lean on him and shoot because I'm right-handed and he was to my right. It was a very awkward shot. I don't know how I got him, but sometimes it works out.
Sometimes those are the best stories though.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a real turkey hunt.
Was that your birthday bird?
No, that was the one last week, was the birthday bird.
Oh, I got you.
And so that one I cheated. I used the strutter decoy on that one. I'll tell on myself.
It happens. Hey, you had to get it done somehow, right?
Yeah. Well, on that one, there's this private land out here in central Missouri, and I pulled around this cattle guard, and there were some hills and stuff, and I pulled around in my truck, and I noticed black spots out in the field. I'm like, oh crap, they're already out, because I was kind of late. We had to get my daughter to school and everything, so I just immediately hit reverse and hid behind the hill. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was like, I'll just get the strutter out and see what happens. And I held it up above the crawled up on the hill, and I was just laying there, and I got to where I could see them way out there. They were about, I'd say like 250 yards out there. They were strutting. There was 2 of them together. And I knew there was 2 of them together because me and my wife got on them a couple of days before. And we were calling, and they were gobbling over the knoll, and they never came in. But I knew they were out there somewhere. And then I was looking at those, and then all of a sudden, 60 yards to my left, there's one comes up out of the timber. And I'm sitting there like with the decoy, I'm laying behind it, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, where did you come from? And then he saw the strutter, and he just came right in, and it was easy. And then I'm like, well, I cheated.
I thought about pulling that out of my hat this past weekend. Had some real nasty weather here in East Central Indiana, and buddy of mine, Ryan, he's had these birds in this field like every single day. He's went after them a few times, just couldn't get it done really. He's like, come on, man, let's help me out. I'm like, dude, it's going to be pouring rain this weekend. I was like, I'll tell you what, let's take a blind. Let's sit out dead middle of this field. He's like, because he kept sending me pictures where this bird was, and he was way out in the middle of this cornfield. And I was like, let's just go out there really early. Let's get that hour plus early, set this blind up in the middle of the field, put my 3/4 strut Jake and a hen out. And of course, we got absolutely soaked setting the blind up and everything, because we had to walk, I don't know, 400, 500, 600 yards into this field. And finally we're sitting there, and I don't know, we sat there for a couple hours, never heard nothing gobble. It was pouring rain. It's kind of one of them hunts you're like, why did I even come to this? I should have just stayed in bed, especially with it being a Sunday like that. I was ready to watch some NBA basketball, kind of just chill out on the couch before having to go back to work today. And he taps me on my leg. Here he is. I'm like, I don't see him. He was directly behind the blind. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So he couldn't see the decoy or nothing. And he kept working back and forth in this field. And finally it quit raining. He's out there pruning himself, drying himself off and all that good stuff. And he finally got about, 60 yards behind the blind. I start calling. He's hammering. And then he got to a certain point where I thought he could see the decoys, but he wouldn't break that like 35, 40 yard barrier, because we couldn't shoot basically because he was directly behind the blind. I got one of the double bull, Primos double bull black horses or whatever it is. So like that, the back of it's just all blacked out. And he got up to about, 35 yards. I said, listen, I've had about enough of this. I'm going to drop this window, get on your knees, and I'm going to drop this window. And I dropped this window, take this bird out. And that's exactly what happened. I dropped that window and lifted the top part of it up because it's a hub blind. He smoked this bird, man. And the field, it had rained so much that like the day before that, even like the field was flooded. Like he was walking in 2 inches of water. And just laid this bird out, and he's all flopping. And there's water on everything, and then things are dog ugly when they get wet, man.
That's what I was about ready to ask. I bet he was real pretty after that.
Yeah, real pretty, and it sucked because I went basically to film, and I'm like, hey, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna get it all on film. And I just don't. What I didn't notice is where he was at. It's pretty flat here in Indiana where I'm at, but there was just a couple little knobs, and we were like on two. There was like 2 of them in between us and the bird, and he just couldn't see those decoys. I think if he had seen those decoys, he probably would have come running in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It happens, but we got it done. And it was cool because we use this little sled for like waterfowl hunting. We load all of our stuff on it and like drag it through the water, or, like on the dam and stuff like that. We loaded our blinds, chairs, guns, everything in that sled and pulled it through that flooded field. I'm like, this beats carrying it any day.
Oh yeah. It is just like, do you do a lot of waterfowl hunting?
I used to be huge into it. I actually I wouldn't say quit deer hunting for a while, but like I got bit by the bug for a few years and then realized, hey, I live in East Central Indiana where there's just a bunch of giants. Let's focus back on that, because it wouldn't really even get good here in Indiana until like the last week of season when everything's freezing up and you get the big push of birds down through the Great Lakes and all that stuff. But I mean, it's fun. Yeah. I still enjoy going. I'm just not big into it like I used to be.
Yeah, if duck season was in like February, I would go.
Right.
But it has to be like right at the end of November and into December, and I'm like, yeah, deer taste a lot better. They're a lot prettier.
Right. I mean, that east side of Missouri there, I mean, that's some really good duck hunting.
Oh yeah, that Mississippi River up in there through there. Yeah. So I think I talked about this on the last podcast, but we actually used to do, my buddy Lance that I was just talking about, he still does it. They used to do a lot of snow goose hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys get them out there on that way, but
not as much as out there.
Man, that can turn into a fun, and that is in February and early March.
A lot of shooting.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. The one time we had like, I don't know how many snow geese right above us, and you literally had to yell, and somebody sitting in the layout blind next to you, like, "Are you ready? All right, take them." And then
because they like
just
tornado
raining
down, right?
Yeah, it's wild, and it's like they tornado down, and like you're screaming at each other, and and then it's just raining geese, and you're ducking like hoping you don't. But I've only been in one of those. All the other times, man, it could be really, really, really awesome, or you could just be staring at a bluebird sky and getting sunburned.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dylan, let's hear about this story about that longbeard you took down.
Man, I don't know what it is about me and you and almost connecting on birds.
Oh man.
And then me going back and getting it done.
Right.
That's pretty much what happened, dude. Me and Ben was talking, and it's a good problem to have, but for me, it's a struggle to choose which spot we're going to hunt. Brett, we've got
exactly
spots everywhere. So, I was just brainstorming like, well, I've got birds here. I've got birds here. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. I told Ben, I was like, what about, let's go to this one spot. We'll call it the X, because it's just a great spot. And he was like, sounds good to me, man. So we get there and it's trying to rain. And I'm like, he's like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we're going, dude. Like it's raining. It's a big short field. Like they're going to be in there. So we get in there and we get set up where Brett and I had set up originally and then moved a couple weekends before. And it's pretty quiet, man. I was starting to get a little nervous. And then I heard 2 fire off about 300 yards in front of us. And it wasn't 5 minutes later, one fired off like 200 yards behind us. And I just looked at Ben. I was like, well, that's a pretty good, we're in the middle of them and we know that they're coming here. So we just got to hang tight. And about 2 seconds after that, we heard he probably covered 60 yards. He flew down and he gobbled again. And I looked at Ben. I was like, he's going to be the first one here because he's moving. Those other two kind of started shutting up a little bit. They were getting fewer and far between, and hit the call one more time, and boom, there he was. And then I heard boom. I'm looking, and it's kind of thick. It's a huge field, but we're tucked in like a little nest almost in this thicket. And about 25, 30 yards, I just see red head, and he's just looking around. And I told Ben, I was like, all right, buddy. I was like, when I tell you to, get your gun up and wait. And probably 20 minutes go by, and this bird was just going back and forth in this little bowl. I was like, I know he sees the decoy. And he was very shootable. I could have shot him a few times, through like gaps in the brush. But I'm going to let Ben shoot him. I'm going to let Ben take him. I was talking myself out of this bird because he was just giving me those layup shots. And finally, I hear a hen start clucking. And I looked at Ben. I was like, buddy, he's not coming all the way to that decoy because that hen is clearly alive and moving. And he kind of broke and took, they'll take 10 or 15 steps this way, and then they'll kind of like slowly work back, and then they'll, kind of sprint this way. And I told Ben, I was like, you want me to shoot him? And he was like, yeah, shoot him. So I shot him, and it was probably a 20-yard shot. He just done. And it was cool because I broke out that Mossberg 500.
Nice.
Went back to the roots, but Ben was more excited than me, I think, because Ben has been a part of, 5 or 6 turkey hunts with me that have been successful, and he's not seen me kill one. So he was all pumped up, and I was like, man, I was just excited because we had been so close so many different times this year.
No, man, that one was a heartbreaker for sure.
I had 6 toms at 30 yards. Clear, wide open. And of course it was that Monday of season. And I'm just like, well, I need him to come just a little bit greed got me on not just taking them. And I was like, all right, I'm feeling tags now. It's going down. But no, and then it got so green here. I don't know how it is with you guys, but
it's super green here now.
Like, the birds that gobbling at 100 yards used to sound super close, and now they're so vague. You're just like, I don't know how close he is, because that happened to me Sunday morning. I went and I was like, all right, I just got a little too close to him on the roost, and they flew right over me pretty much and went the other direction. If I'd have stayed back 60 yards, it'd have been another dead bird. But Kyle, man, the kind of luck I've had this year is I was sitting at my parents' house waiting to go into the woods, and a tom comes strutting through their yard.
Yep.
That's my luck this year. I've been so close, but it's just something keeping me, from making it happen. But it's been one of my best seasons so far as memories. And then we had one hell of a time at the roundup, and it's we're putting together the Velvet Hunt shindig now. So it's coming all about that old school camp again, I think.
Yeah, that's the fun part about with the roundup, having everybody come in. We did a seafood boil, even though we put too much of the spiciness in there, because it was probably one of the hottest things I've ever eaten in my life.
It was ridiculous. I was having to put chapstick on while we were eating. It was that they used a whole bottle of Cajun.
It was rough for sure, but still a good time. You get to enjoy any turkey camps throughout the season besides like the Kentucky thing?
No, not really. Well, last year I had my buddy Scott. He came down and he just hung out at my house, and we hunted from here. But no, I went to. Excuse me again. Sorry. We went to my cabin and stuff, but it's usually just me that turkey hunts. The guys that go there and deer hunt, one guy's from Florida and the other one's from St. Louis. They haven't really got into turkey hunting. So
that's a good.
No, it's just kind of. Yeah. It sucks having all that land to hunt by myself on turkeys. But no, not really anything besides there in Kentucky. And even there in Kentucky, I'm in a hotel room working the whole time, so I don't really nothing like deer camp, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll tell my bird story now, but another good camp that I get to do every year, I get to go to West Virginia to my buddy Troy Delaney's place. Me and Adam get to go out there, and this year we usually stay at Troy's house, and this year we got to stay at Troy's parents' house, which they own quite a bit of land there as well too. But we get there and he's like, yeah, there've been birds in the field there every day when I pass there. He said they get there about 7:30, 8 o'clock. He said, we'll just show up at 7. We're like, what? No, we're not showing up at 7 o'clock. Like, I want to be in that blind before the sun even comes up. So we're joking with him. He's like, nah, just set your alarm for 6:45. So me and Adam tricked him and set our alarms for 5:30. So we got him up and we get in this field, nothing gobbled yet. It was trying to rain. It was like spitting. So we get to the corner, we get set up, and that's about between West Virginia and here in Indiana now that we got on some birds here. I don't really use decoys all that much anymore. So we got the 3/4 strut Jake and the hen out, and it was almost like something that you see on TV or you hear about. Like, it was literally pouring down rain. We told Troy to get in the blind because he was sitting outside the blind in like one of those Newcomb blinds. I mean, he's camoed in, you can't see him or anything. And it was pouring pretty good, and it just stopped. The sun popped out, and as soon as the sun popped out, wow, they would start hammering in the bottom field. We're like, well, it's game time now, boys. So I start calling, and I get them all worked up. There's about 5 of them that are worked up, and here comes this deer up out of this bottom field into our field, and we're all just kind of like, I wouldn't say mesmerized, but we're just watching the deer. And as the deer walks past the point of the field, all I see were the top of 2 tail fans. I'm like, oh, here we go, boys. So I start calling. They get worked up, immediately go from redhead to completely white, and they're strutting together. They're not battling for being a dominant bird. And they strutted and gobbled back and forth what seemed like 20 minutes. It wasn't that long, but it seemed like it. And here they come in there, and I'm worried about that deer, because that deer is like 10 yards from our blind. And then, doing one of those numbers, like looking in the windows and stuff. And I told them, I said, the moment we get a shot on these birds, we have got to take it, because this deer is about to blow it for us. Like, and there was a hen too. There was a hen with the 2 toms, and we called her right up in there. I mean, she's at point blank 5 yards probably. And so she's looking too, the deer's looking, and you can hear me in the YouTube video. I start counting it down. They get to a certain point, and at a certain point, they saw the Jake decoy. So they start putting pretty good pace to it. And you can hear me count it down. And it was funny because not 20 minutes before that, I asked Adam, I said, if we go to pull a double, is it 1, 2, 3 shoot, or is it shoot on 3? And that's always a question, you get at, and nobody ever answered me. So I thought, I'm shooting on 3. Like, when I get the 3, I'm pulling the trigger. So I slide my gun up, and it's 1, 2, kaboom! We lay these birds out, and it may be the biggest birds that we'll ever kill. 25 pounds, 1.5 inch spurs, 10-inch beards. I mean, just absolute hooks on these birds, man. I mean, some just giant birds.
Both of them had spurs like that?
Both of them had 1.5 inch spurs.
Wow.
They had to have been maybe like from the same brood or something. Like, I've never seen. I mean, obviously, we asked Dr. Chamberlain on here, like, what makes it where they don't compete? Are they brothers? Like, how does that kind of work? And they were almost identical in everything: beard, spurs, weight. I mean, they were some monster birds.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I didn't really know either. Like, that's why we asked him. I can't even remember his response to that. I think he said there wasn't really any evidence to that. Did he? I can't remember, Dylan.
I would have to re-listen to that. I should re-listen to that one. The way my season's kind of gave me some pep in my step. But yeah, I would imagine they could have been, out of the same hatch, and
that's what I mean.
Because that intercounter with the Jakes we had this year, that's 5 or 6 Jakes that were identical. And I'm sure if the habitat's providing food and the pressure's not killing them, I'm sure they're going to probably grow pretty,
And there was at least 3 more gobbling birds in the bottom field, because after we shot, I'm like, let's get this bird and get back in the blind, because Troy's still got a tag. Let's call another one in for him. And then, not 5 seconds after we recorded the interview on my camera, it started dumping again. So Troy, he was kind of over it. We were ready to celebrate. He's like, dude, let's just get out of here and save it for Sunday. And I'm like, that sounds good. And we got absolutely soaked before we even got back to the truck. But it was a good time in West Virginia. And then Saturday we hunted his buddy Todd's cattle farm. I saw a hen. That was it. Didn't really have much luck. So Sunday we go back to that field where we doubled up, and it was just like, okay, this is about to be money because it wasn't raining. Sun was already popped out. I mean, it didn't drop too much in temp that night. I'm like, they're going to be fired up. I never heard a bird gobble. We saw one hen about, an hour before we left or something. And it was just like, man, so weird that you go from having such a hot place and birds being everywhere to 2 days later and there's not a bird in sight.
And I'm noticing a theme here. I just wrote this down. I'm noticing a theme to all our stories. It's rain.
No kidding. Yeah. It's been a very wet spring. I mean, honestly, what was it, Dylan? A month ago or so, my whole basement was flooded. Like, it's
really?
like almost ruined parts of my basement. Like, we're gonna have to have work done because we got almost 16 inches of rain in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, just absolutely.
Oh, that was that. You were in that area that got that huge rain that weekend. Then.
Oh yeah, and we had tornado. Tornado like less than a quarter mile from my house. I mean, it really went through here. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 nights in 1 week where the tornado siren was going off, like all in 1 week. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. This is, I mean, since we just started, I don't know when did y'all start?
Turkey season? 14th, April 14th, I think was when we done it.
I think it was the 12th, 11th or something like 12th,
that weekend.
Yeah, the 12th.
Okay, yeah. So you guys started a week earlier than us, and you guys, that was the rainy, nasty weekend.
Yeah.
And we've been pretty lucky. I think it stormed here the 20th, that Sunday, because Monday, like everybody I talked to on the 21st, after that Sunday that it rained all day and stormed all night and everything. Actually, I think, was that Sunday the tornado that we had, the tornado sirens went off? I think it might have been. That was, it was Easter, right? Was the 20th? Yeah. So we had a tornado sirens went off here and where I live on the 20th, that Sunday, and then there's really bad storms that night that came through.
Mm-hmm.
And the 21st, opening day, like everybody I talked to was like, I heard one gobble. I didn't hear any gobbles. I heard one gobble. I didn't hear any. And I think I heard one. I heard one lone gobble that day, and I hunted till 10:30, and everybody else. And then I go back to that same spot, and that's where my wife and I got on the 2 that were there. So, and then I shot the 1. So I know there was 3 in that area, and I heard that one gobble opening morning.
Well, that's probably, I've been to multiple states. I've been to Tennessee, Indiana, West Virginia. That's probably been my biggest takeaway from this season compared to let's say the last 5, was the gobbling activity. I really didn't hear much of it. Them birds that I screwed the pooch on in Tennessee with Dylan, they were hot. That's probably the hottest birds I've worked all year, was that opening morning in Tennessee in that field where he ended up killing one at. But other than that, they really haven't, the year before, last year in Tennessee with Dylan, they were red hot all day. Like, I'm talking, you could have smacked your call against a tree and had 4 of them gobble. Like, it was just one of those times, but this year it hasn't really been like that.
Yeah, I've noticed the gobbling activity. Of course, we're getting a lot more birds now too. I don't know how your all's numbers are doing, but our numbers are going up, which is awesome. And I hope this rainy weather doesn't, because I know when it gets wet spring, the kind of numbers, the hatch goes down for sure.
Right. I would say my numbers here close to the house are on the rise. We really don't have many turkeys here in East Central Indiana where I'm live. There's kind of like pockets of them. I just happen to have a couple places that we can go that have a few birds. I mean, like just a few, nothing crazy. And I would say Dylan in Tennessee, your numbers are probably okay, right? Like nothing huge, like up or down.
I would say we're average, the same as last year, but it's hard for me to gauge that, because of the farms I hunt and manage. I've always kept a good number because of the way I rotate them. So it's not, I've still got the same amount, if not more than I have previous years, but from hearing other people talk, numbers are down.
Really?
But, those guys are hunting 2 days a week, where I'm hunting probably 5 to 6 days a week. So I'm able to get out and see a little bit more. And there's been mornings where they did not gobble until 10 o'clock. And then from 10 to 2 is like peak rut activity for turkey. And then there's been mornings that they gobbled crazy. That Monday that you left, Brett, I bet I heard, me and Jordan went, and I bet we heard 250 gobbles from the time they first started to the time they flew down, and then they shut up. So it's just been one of those weird years. The weather's been all over the place.
Yeah.
The weekend before Brett come down, it was 80 degrees. The weekend Brett comes down, we were literally switching to put like deer hunting pants on because of how cold it was. Then the next weekend it's back up to 80, and then it's just been all over the place. I've noticed it being green 2 weeks faster this year in comparison to last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has something to do with it. The hay fields have grown faster this year, so it's pushed the birds out of those thicker fields. Um, you know, and then we had birds nesting before season started. So that kind of threw me off because I was like, well, we've already got birds, literally nesting, but these toms are lingering. And then when season started, it was like the second reign of hens picked up their breeding cycle, and then they were, pulling. So it's just been like a revolving door of everything that kind of can pull them away from you will.
I've noticed the greenery thing big time. Like just from what was it, last Wednesday or the Wednesday before was our opener here in Indiana. My woods across the street that we own, I could see completely through the other side into the neighbor's field. And now I can't see 20 yards into that woods. Like it's just so thick already with, all the vegetation growed up, and it definitely came into play, I think, when we killed that bird on Sunday, because when we first started seeing those birds in those two fields that Ryan picked up, they were on the edges. They were running the river quite heavy, like that opening day of Indiana when we chased that bird over there. He was along the river and then ended up making his way out to the field, which he was basically just going to the roost. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And then Sunday or this past weekend before we killed him, he said he was in the same part of the field for like 6 or 7 hours. Like he said he went to work and came back and the bird was in the exact same spot. And I'm saying he's in the middle of like a 400-acre field, and it's like almost impossible to get to where he's at if it's broad daylight, unless you had the Reaper type of style. And I've thought about that too, and it was definitely going to be in my game plan Sunday if the blind didn't work out.
It's so fun, but it's cheating.
Oh, it's definitely cheating.
I know, like, I know it's been a thing forever. Indians used to kill turkeys like that, but whenever it got like popular, I know we used to kill them all the time like that. We're like, oh, we're such good turkey hunters. Now it's like,
Right.
I don't even like doing it anymore. It feels gross.
Do you got any more plans to go anyplace else this season?
Yeah, so my wife still has 2 tags. Season's open until next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So she's off Thursday. I got to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and she's off Thursday. So we're going to try to get out there Thursday and hunt. And then hopefully, I mean, I'm tagged out, so I can't hunt anymore, but I can take her. There's another couple more buddies that one of them actually has never hunted. And I talked to him yesterday, and he thought he might want to go if I take him. So I'm going to still try to get out some. I'd say I got Thursday through Sunday to hunt still. So hopefully we get another one at least.
Yeah. And that's a definitely a different thing, because I killed 3 birds last year. I was a part of, I don't even remember, 9 or 10 of them last year, I think. And it's like, I've been part of 3 birds this year. It just feels really weird because I'm usually all over. It's last year, it seemed like every time I hit the woods, a bird died. And it was just like this year, it's like a struggle, and it'll humble you really, really quick, like really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. Mistakes made. Is there any mistakes that you made this year you wish you could take back on the turkey hunting?
Every day. I mean, turkey hunting will humble you quick. That's for sure. Yeah, opening day. I mean, I told you I only shot that or heard that one lone gobble opening day, and I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm not going to sit here. So I kind of was like kind of walking around, and I actually saw a hen up on the hill. It was like it's a big cattle field, pasture, and it's a big ravine. Then it goes up another one, and I'm just kind of glassing, calling, and I'd see a hen go behind a tree, and I dip down. I get the binoculars on her, and I'm like, it's kind of weird, just one hen out just walking. So I moved over to I'm like, oh, to see a red head in my binoculars about, I don't know, 300 yards away through the trees. And
yeah.
And what I should have done was I should have immediately kind of made a huge loop and went around, but he was kind of walking away and up over the hill. So I'm like, I'll just use these trees and just go straight at him. And I went straight at him and I was calling, and then I like tried to step out from a tree and he was right there with his head perked up already. And I'm like, well, there goes that. And then I tried to call, and then he disappeared. And I'm like, where'd he go? And I'm like looking around. Then he's like 500 yards away. I see him running over the hill, and I'm like, oh my goodness, he hightailed it. So I guess that was kind of a mistake there. I wish I would have kind of took my time and thought about what I was doing before I actually did what I did.
Right. What about you, Dylan? Any mistakes you made this year you wish you could take back?
Just trying to get too close, trying to cut the distance. I've done that one too many times, and I've learned this year with that bird that I shot. Literally, I mean, he was 20 yards for 30 minutes and didn't make a noise other than spitting and drumming. There's so many times that we've worked a bird and we've got up trying to cut the distance, and he's seen us and took off before we even realized it, and we think he just shut up and went another way, when in all actuality we probably pushed him.
Mhm.
Just hanging tight, man. Brett, that morning that we went back, and I was like, look, we know they're in here. Let's just sit down and we'll call. It wasn't 30 minutes after just every 10 minutes calling, boom, one gobbles, and then Jake's bum rushes. I mean, they were
Yeah, that
coming
was
in,
wild.
and that's one thing I've really tried to hone in on. But when that bird's gobbling, and you think that, hey, if we don't get him, he's going to get us, so we've got to get after it. It's just getting too close, man. I just need to slow down and enjoy it, you know.
My biggest mistake was definitely that opening day of Tennessee, just getting impatient, making the wrong decision at the wrong time, thinking that he was
Yeah.
going to hit that logging road, and he didn't hit that logging road. It just patience, I guess, in that certain opportunity. I mean, had we sat where we were sitting, me and Ben could have pulled a double, no problem. They would have been right in our lap, 5 yards probably.
And letting
Just
us know they were coming the entire way.
yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
just
but
trying to get
you
cute
get
with it.
excited and you want to get it done so bad that that adrenaline kicks in and you just fight or flight.
I think even if you do end up killing a turkey, and I mean, most of the time when you're not, but like even if you do kill a turkey, I always feel like I like look at the situation, what happened, and be like, oh, I wish I would have been sitting on that tree, or
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken 3 steps this way, or
Mhm.
faced the other way, or something. Like, oh, that's why he came through. Like, you actually kind of look and you're like, oh, that's why he circled around behind us, because it's way more open than what I thought he was.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
so you call that a quote unquote mistake too, but it's like even if you kill him, you're like, oh, that could have been so much easier.
Yeah,
The
there's signs everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the crazy thing is, and Dylan can contest this, I hate sitting in a blind and waiting for turkeys unless it's raining, and then I'm cool with it because I ain't getting soaking
Mhm.
wet and keeping my camera dry, all that good stuff. All 3 birds that I saw die this year, I was sitting in a blind. But then
Yeah.
again, it was also raining. So,
Right.
but I just hate doing that. I hate sitting in a
Oh, yeah.
blind and deer hunting them. Like I just want to be out chasing them, especially if I'm on public somewhere. I can walk around. It's the adventure part of it, I guess, and be able to talk to them. But I guess it worked out, so I can't
Yeah,
Well,
complain
you
too much.
deer hunting turkeys is the worst.
Oh
It
man,
is, but you almost get the FOMO if you're sitting on one farm and there's nothing gobbling. I'm like, dude, I have so many farms, and I promise you, if we leave here, we're going to get one to gobble. And we,
Mhm.
we hype each other up, and then that happens. We hit 2 different farms. We'd start out at X, and then we hit this other farm, and within 10 to 15 minutes every time, we'd either have a turkey gobble or hens would come in right on top of us.
Mhm.
We seen maybe the state record bearded hen on one
Oh
of my
my
farms.
god, biggest bearded hen I've ever seen in my life, and I had to think about it real quick, because in Tennessee you can't shoot bearded hens, but I wanted to pull the trigger back.
She popped up on top of us, and I bet
Yeah.
you that beard was 10 inches long.
Jeez.
But what got it is it was an absolute paintbrush.
It was
I'm talking
really
huge, because that's all I seen was just.
Yeah.
She pops out. Brett was like, "Shoot him!" And I was like, "It's a her."
All I could see was like from like the beard to like the middle of the body back. I couldn't even see its head, which sounds weird, but it was at the angle that I was. All I could see was just like the front of the chest. I'm like, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. I'm like saying it out loud, like, shoot it. And he's like, no, it's a hen.
And then the one farm, the farm that's going to be dang good for deer this year, that real thick one, until you get up to the top. Man, we set up, and Brett had one probably come, I don't know how close, but those two hens were on top of him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, crazy. And it's just been one of those where we've all, like, the fear of missing out always gets me. And what's bad, and I can say that it's got me, is we left one farm, went to another farm, struck them up, struck out, went back to the farm we had started at, and they were right where we had left them, gobbling. And I'm like, and then we couldn't do nothing to get back to them because of the way you have to go in. So I was like, well, we'll get them tomorrow.
I was just going to say, the 9 times out of 10, you go check those farms, and then you finally circle around and you hop out and you're like, oh, right there. Right where we just were.
What do you got in store for deer hunting this year? You going anywhere or just hanging around the camp?
Probably just going to hang around the camp again this year. I don't know. All our deer from last year died. I mean, not all our deer. I'm saying like all the big bucks I had on camera that I was following all last year. Yeah. I killed 2 of them, really nice ones. And it was a heck of a year at our camp this year for deer hunting. And nice. But the sad thing is I don't know what's left. So I'm kind of interested to get here after turkey season. I'm going to start getting the cameras out and start watching them grow. So. But yeah, no, I don't go anywhere for turkeys either, other than Kentucky, but that's just work. So right. I don't really get to go out and do any kind of fun stuff outside of being home.
Yeah. I think Missouri might actually be the one state that I've hit it like the last 2 or 3 years. I can't remember how many years I've been doing that now. I used to go that opening weekend because I hadn't hunted anywhere else yet, because we used to hit Kentucky real hard for like their velvet week, basically a velvet weekend, that opening Labor Day weekend. And then we started going to Missouri, but I don't think I'm going to come over there till like the first week in November or something like that. Yeah. Put in for my points for Kansas for the first time. I'll try to draw that next year maybe. I bought my points for Iowa again. I'm kind of stashing that back for a rainy day one of these times. And I don't know. I think Missouri may be, besides Tennessee, but that's way different because I'll be hunting Tennessee in August.
And then whichever weekend from September until January, pretty much you have to come back down, depending. But August is when it kicks off.
Yeah, because I'll probably hunt the velvet in Tennessee and then probably not come back to Tennessee until the first weekend in December or somewhere right in there.
Yeah, I would come the first or second weekend in December. That's when it gets really good here.
Yeah. That was the plan last year, and then some stuff fell through, but that's kind of the lineup I got for deer this year. But I'm pretty excited still. My buddy, that public land that we hit in Missouri, hopefully not too many people take note of that, me saying that, but he shot a 165 over there with a bow that first week in November last year. And I had actually hunted pretty close to where he shot it too, but obviously didn't see nothing like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I'm not going to put his name out there. There's some people around me that shoot big deer, but they don't want you to know that they shoot big deer. Oh yeah. I had a buddy shoot a 216 or whatever it is, 216, and then 3 days later shoot that buck in Missouri at 165. So he killed a 216 and a 165 in the same week.
Wow.
With a bow.
That's impressive.
It is impressive.
I wouldn't say very many people have accomplished that one.
Absolutely not, especially on public land like that.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't even think I've seen a 165.
What county or what area are you in Missouri again?
So I live in central Missouri, but I hunt up in northeast Missouri.
Okay.
Private land.
I got you. Yeah, we hunt like the east central part of Missouri, right down into there. There's a ton of public land and even some bow only public land, which I'm always a big fan of those places.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Seems like the Missouri DNR does a pretty good job managing all those places too, for the most part.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't really. We turkey hunt public ground quite a bit, but I don't really deer hunt because it's hard to get away from my like private farm that's so good, and it's I just love hunting there, obviously, and it's just really good. And it's like, man, I want to go try public ground. I bought a saddle and everything. I want to go hunt, but then I'm like, I got this deer on camera. He's right there.
I don't blame you one bit, man. Dylan, what about you? You just got Tennessee and Indiana?
Yeah, which we'll do the velvet hunt this year. I'm gonna actually hunt it this time instead of just
being my
hanging out.
chauffeur.
Yeah, and then dabble with the bow a little more local, and then just Indiana. Tossing around the ideal of Illinois, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen depending on time scheduling with my brother-in-law and stuff like that. So we're going to try to make that one happen. But yeah, man, I've got so much going here, Kyle. I understand it completely with all the work that I do here, man. I want to watch them and I want to see, and then I've got it honed down to where I'm like, all right, Brett, 15 minutes, we're going to have two more doe come right out of there. And then after that, it's going to be, and I just love seeing them. I don't have to kill, but as long as I'm seeing deer, I'm perfectly content. So I'm ready to punch my last tag so that I can start getting food plots ready. We've bought new machines to get these hard to reach food plots done. I've got a special plot for Brett that I'm making. I don't think you've actually ever rode with me to this little piece, but it's literally in this big valley with a creek running right through it. It's a big field, and then it's like 40 acres of complete grown up thicket that is so thick you can't stick your hand in it. And the other side is just big mature hardwoods that have just, acorns everywhere. So I'm going to come in the center and I'm going to cut him a big plot and I'm going to put some clover and see if we can't get it, because I can sub pump the water out of the creek to water this plot, and it's not been planted in probably 15 years, so I think it's going to bloom some gnarly clover. And the way it's set up, it's pretty much set up for like a bow hunter. So like where he's at, he's gonna be able to shoot pretty much anywhere within 50 yards.
Sounds friggin' awesome to me.
It's going to be a great spot for myself once you go home after shooting.
Right.
That's all I'm going to
say. Oh no, I definitely appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man, and for the turkey that I killed this year, I resort back to Paul Campbell. I'm just not mad at him like I used to be. If I can take somebody and get them all pumped up and get them a bird, that's almost better than me shooting one. I still love it, and I'm getting up and going every morning, but there's just something about calling in a bird from for somebody and then watching it, unfold, and then them actually knocking one down. It's just, man, I love it, but I am ready for the long summer days and then Halloween time. I'm ready for fall already.
Yeah, I'm ready for fall too.
Yeah, you talk about like you got it honed in to where, oh, these two does are going to come out next. The last couple of years, and actually working with Jason and seeing all the stuff that he did for deer management and kind of honing in on his bucks and like, I'm going to go hunt this buck or whatever. And then once I moved back home, started doing the same thing and started actually learning my bucks and learning my deer. And now it's to the point, kind of the same thing. Like every time someone shoots one or I see one, like my cousin shot one last year and he's like, yeah, I shot a really good one. And I'm like, oh, you shot that 9. He's like, how'd you know? I'm like, because he was on camera going that way before he shot him. And he was on camera every night. And he's like, yeah, that is the one I shot. And then I don't know, another guy shot one, and I'm like, walk up, I'm like, oh, I didn't even get like 2. I was like 30 yards from it while it's laying down. I'm like, oh, that's unibrow. He's like, how the hell do you know this? I'm like, I can just tell. And it's pretty cool that you can, even through the woods, you can look and, you get eyes on them and you're like, oh, that's that, that's that big 8 or that's that weird looking 6 or whatever. And it's just so cool to do it like that. I love that.
It really is. And you can pattern bucks just like you do doe. And then it goes from patterns to, I call it know the doe. Because if you know the doe during the rut, you can kind of gauge on what those bucks are going to do. You're like, okay, I see him here. It gets super thick here. I know where she's trying to go. She's going to dip around. And that's really what this year for deer, I shot, I don't know if I hit him or missed or he just moved, but I had a 9-point with a drop tine that I tried to get bred on early. And this buck was just routine every morning, same time. And then I'm like, all right, well, I know when he's coming through, but they always alter on you just a tad bit because they're so smart. But if you play it just right, man, it's a chess game for sure. You've got to beat not only the deer, but their vision, their scent. I mean, there's just a whole, orchestra that you have to put together just right for it to all pan out. And last year was a really good deer season. I, shot one with Brett and with pneumonia. So that was a wild, wild hunt. But I feel like, going into this turkey season, we've talked to all these great people in the turkey hunt industry. I went in with a lot more knowledge than I showed because I got so eager. So I'm excited to kind of regroup, talk to guys like Jason, yourself, all these other guys who are hunting all these different areas, killing good deer. And, you're saying kind of what I'm saying. You can pattern them and you can put enough time in to know what they're doing. And then you hear that from other people and you're like, okay, so it's not just a hoax. I'm onto something here. And I'm just hoping that we can all, share a little bit of that information. I'm being like, hey, why is this buck was doing all this week. Now he's shifted up, but it's, this is the barometric pressure. This was this, and just having that group of guys to, hey, have y'all seen this crap before? Because this is throwing me for a loop.
Yeah. It's nice it's getting to the point now that I'm starting arguments at deer camp because one guy will come back in, he'll come back in and he'll be like, I'll show him a picture or whatever. He'll be like, oh yeah, that's the one I saw. I'm like, that's not the one you saw. He's like, yeah, it's the one I saw. I'm like, no, it's not. And then we start this big long fight. He's like, deer move from this part of the farm. I'm like, yeah, but he's never been on this camera, or this camera. He's always been on these 2 cameras, so he's not going over there. He's like, he is definitely, that was, I'm like, whatever, dude. And I just walk away.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to flip the script on turkey into deer. I know in podcast land that in that time period from let's just say mid-May to August, September, somewhere in there. That's kind of a rough time in podcasts, especially a bow hunting podcast. You can only cover so much of that stuff leading into season. So there's going to be some guests that we have on and do things a little different. I want to have some cooks on, talk about some recipes and stuff like that. We're going to go down some different rabbit holes. Dylan wants to talk about bow fishing and stuff like that. We're going to be doing all types of different stuff, but this actually may be our last turkey podcast for the spring because I'm definitely ready to start talking some whitetails and food plots and everything else.
Yeah, I'm not to drag this out anymore, but you guys seen any growing yet? Do you got any?
Yeah,
I have not yet, but I don't have any cameras out at the moment.
I seen a little buck on Sunday morning. I mean, just had just a little bit coming out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, I saw quite a few deer on Sunday sitting in that blind in that field. I probably saw, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 deer in the few hours that I was there, just running the river. Dylan knows how it is where I was just down the road from where I took you. These deer run this river like a freaking highway, dude. It's insane. Like it really is. It is a highway for deer. But what about, you were doing a podcast there for a while, right? Are you guys still doing that?
No, we kind of quit doing that. We just kind of, I don't know if we had different views on stuff or whatever, but we just kind of running out of content. Like and living too far away, and he's got a different life than I do. Like, I got a 4-year-old, and he's got kids out of school, and he's doing other stuff. So we just kind of stopped doing it. But I have been tossing the idea of starting my own or with someone, but I just haven't pulled that trigger yet. But it's definitely fun. I do like podcasting. It's a good time. And I got all the stuff for it. It's
Right.
just sitting here on my desk. Like I said, last time I used this thing was like, I don't know, year and a half ago.
Well, you guys had quite a show. I know I listened to several episodes of the old Corn Thicket, like when you had
Yeah.
Tyler Jordan on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty cool. And then you guys got the relationship with Realtree. How did all that work out?
That was just kind of crazy. I don't even know. Like, so I just put out there, I think I just put out a tweet that said something like, does anybody know any good podcasts? And I think it was before you even started yours. Said, does anybody know any good podcasts where we can talk about like being a dad and hunting and just like current events and talk about, I don't know. And then Tyler Jordan just like, he commented, he's like, I've been actually kind of contemplating on starting a podcast like this. Send me a message. I'm like, okay. So I sent him a message, and he's like, do you know how to start podcasts or something like that? And he's like, would you guys be interested in doing a podcast like that? And then so that's when I got Howie in on it. And I'm like, dude, we have a chance to get in with Realtree on like our first episode. And I was like, we haven't even put anything out yet. And Realtree's already kind of like, do you want to start a podcast with us? And so that's kind of how that happened. And, we had Tyler Jordan on that I don't think it was our first one. I think it was like our second or third one or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, he came on and kind of kicked it off for a little bit there. We had a good run for a while.
It is hard to manage um, that whole balance of podcasting and guests and material, and it may be one of the reasons why I wouldn't say we've struggled lately by any means, but um, we got life. My son's baseball stuff started up. He's working on tractors and getting stuff ready for all that, and we're turkey hunting. And I'm in another state, and it's just like it is a lot to balance. So I could see where stuff can fall off sometimes. Some people don't realize the grind of a podcast, especially recording, editing, putting it out there, marketing it on social and all that good stuff. Some people just don't realize the time that goes into this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you sit down for an hour, and then you gotta, I mean, just me and Scott getting our schedules lined up was the hardest thing, because we're like, okay, we can definitely do one a week. And like, yeah, and he's like, okay, what about Tuesday? I'm like, oh, I got this. What about Wednesday? He's like, oh, I got this. And then it's just, we could never get lined up. And then it was like, okay, what do you want to talk about? It's like, I don't know. What did we talk about last? And then it just kind of got monotonous, and then we couldn't really ever just kind of kick it off. But
yeah, it's kind of like where the good balance kind of comes in, because I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So we were talking about like which days, because it used to be just sporadic. We would just get it when we could. And then me and Brett was talking. He's like, well, what works best for you? Yeah, I was like, 8 o'clock. It has to be about 8 o'clock, because that gives me time to get home, get the girls bathed and ready for bed. And then that way, my fiance, she kind of smooth sailing. I say that, and she would disagree, but most of the stuff is done. But and then the guests, that's a whole different game, because we talk to people and we have missed great people just because we could not figure out scheduling. Or something comes up, and then you're trying to reschedule. Then you have to, at one point we were like 4 episodes ahead with guests lined up behind that, and then you have one person miss it. So then it's like, well, if we want them on, we have to get it in, but then we can't shuttle nobody else back because we've done booked them. So at 1 week we done 3
Yeah, we
in
did
1
3
week. It
in
was like
1 week.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Well, buddy, it's been a pleasure having you back on with us. Maybe we'll get you on early fall or late summer and talk about what you got going on at your property and your camp and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. Tell everybody where they can follow you and your channel and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's KLC Media on Twitter. Got a Facebook page and YouTube. Or you can just go to KCamp3. I think isn't KCamp3 is my Twitter. I think that's just my personal Twitter, but
Yeah.
follow the KLC Media one. That's going to be all deer hunting content because you don't want to watch me yell at people on Twitter. On my other account.
I think they finally deleted my account on there. I did something that they didn't like, and I never like yelled at anybody or anything like that. But I had a bunch of followers on my Blue River bow hunting account on Twitter, and they deleted it.
Oh, really?
I posted a video, like a YouTube link where you could click on it and check a video out, and they deleted me for it. I don't know what I did to piss somebody off, but I did something.
Come on, where you at on that, Elon, Mr. Free Speech?
Yeah, no kidding. I felt like it was on TikTok or something where I immediately take it down.
Yeah, they got me on TikTok. I can't post anything on there anymore because I posted a turkey short of one getting shot in the face, and now everything
I got to get around that.
Yeah, and now
don't say that out loud, Dylan.
Yeah, I'll tell you when we go off air how to get it, because I figured it out and I do it every time, and they let everything slide now.
After this cuts out, I'm gonna have to get that. Because I think I need to start a new TikTok because I posted a video of I posted a video of all my and I got them. You guys can't see them up here from my first couple ones, and obviously they're getting bigger. So I did a little pan of how it started, how it ended, and they even flagged that one for violence. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just showing you deer skulls.
Right. I've had a ton of stuff taken down on there, but everybody go check out Kyle. We definitely appreciate you watching on the YouTube or listening in podcast land. We'll be back again for episode 113 next week. We're probably going to switch scripts a little bit, maybe get into some deer. Not really sure who next week will be on, but we'll have something. We'll have it set up for you guys. But thanks for following along, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.